Check out all that map detail. There's a lot going on there. Let's talk about it. What's up? Welcome back. I'm Dave from Chase the Summit, and today we're going to be talking about a pretty major update to the mapping capabilities on your Garmin wearable. Well, some Garmin wearables. This feature is not entirely new. In fact, it's been around for a while now, particularly for some of Garmin's handheld devices like the Montana series. But now Garmin has made this mapping feature available on some Garmin wearables as well, which I think is pretty cool. Garmin calls this new feature Outdoor Maps Plus, and like I said, it's been available for a while now. And if you want to take part in this and utilize these new maps, you will need a subscription. You can buy a plan through Garmin's website. You go on Garmin's website, sign up for Maps Plus. It costs $49 per year. Now, whether or not that price is worth it to you is entirely up to you. This is not something everybody out there is going to need, but it is a pretty cool update if you're a hunter or a hiker. Some of those people might find some value in this new mapping update. Another thing to mention, like I said at the beginning of this video, is that this update does not affect all Garmin devices. It only affects some of the higher end models that have full mapping capabilities. So that's going to be things like the Garmin Enduro 2 that I have on the right here, the Garmin Fenix 7X here, I've got the Garmin Epix Gen 2 here, I've also got the Garmin Tactix 7 here, and all these watches will support it, along with any of the Mark series and the Quadix series, which are very niche watches. Unfortunately, as of the recording in this video, I do not think that the Garmin Forerunner 955 has this capability yet, but I am hopeful that it will get it down the road, considering that it does support mapping, and maybe it will. I'm not entirely sure. This is a pre-release video, so it is what it is. I have been testing this new feature on my Garmin Epix Gen 2 in particular for the past few days now, and that's what I'm going to be showing you in this video today, mainly because this has the best screen out of any of these watches, and it makes it really enjoyable to use, specifically for that satellite imagery, which I will show you in this video today. These additional mapping features don't entirely replace the mapping features that ship on these watches. In fact, it's more of a complement because they will provide more detail in certain areas. So what kind of new maps do you get with Outdoor Maps Plus for that $50 subscription? Well, there's things like enhanced topo maps with premium contour lines, which give you a lot more detail about your elevation. There's also map layers for freshwater that'll give you information like inland lake, rivers, stream, and wetland information. There's also additional map layers for state and public land boundaries that'll give you more information about landowner information and public and private lands, which is pretty interesting. I'm not sure of the use case for that. I don't think I'll ever use that, but if you were somebody that is maybe somebody who does site surveys or things like that, it might be useful. And for hunters out there, I'm not one myself, but if you are, there's also layers for hunting that'll give you boundaries for each state, including for multiple species where you are. That's pretty interesting stuff. But I think what I'm most interested in with this new map update is the highly detailed raster maps and satellite imagery. The satellite imagery maps give you a real photorealistic view of a bird's eye view of where you are. So if you're out on a hike and you're looking for a trailhead or a parking area or something like that, you will see the actual image right on your watch, just as if you're looking at Google Maps on your phone with the satellite tab enabled. There's lots of information that you can get from these satellite maps, including camping areas, trailheads, points of interest, water sources, and more. And it's a really valuable thing to have right on your watch and not have to reach for your phone when you need additional information or context for your surroundings. Okay, now that I've talked on and on about what Outdoor Maps Plus is and what it includes, let's talk about how to actually install it and use it on your watch. And to do that, I'll be showing this on my Garmin Epix Gen 2 that I have here. So the first thing you're going to do is dive into your settings by holding the button on the left here and scrolling down to the map settings, which is right here. And when I do that, right at the top, we have something called Map Manager. So if I dive into Map Manager, you'll see right on top, the first thing available is going to be Outdoor Maps Plus. Below Outdoor Maps Plus, we have the existing Topo Active maps that were pre-installed on the watch when I got it, along with the golfing maps and things like that are all pre-installed on the watch right out of the box. Another thing to note on this display is right at the top there, you can see the available storage on my watch, which is 17.1 gigabytes on this Epix Gen 2. And keep in mind, if you do have a bunch of music downloaded to the watch from Spotify or Amazon Music or whatever, you may need to clear some space in order to utilize this feature because these maps are quite big. Moving right along, I'm gonna dive into the outdoor map setting here, and you can see I've got a couple of maps already installed on the watch because I've been messing around with this for a few days now. One at the top here, it says queued, and we'll talk about why in a minute. And when I scroll down to this one, you can see I have a map that's been downloaded, and that's 589 megabytes. So for this, we're gonna go ahead and add a new map right at the bottom here. I'm gonna click add map. Now it's gonna search for my Wi-Fi network in my office here. And then once it does, it's going to request an updated list of maps available. Now that that's completed, you can see I've got a couple of options here. So I can click on current location, and that will use the GPS within the watch to pick up my current location to let the watch know where I need to download map tiles for, so I'm in the area that I want to be. But if I'm downloading map tiles for a place that I'm going to visit soon, that's not what I want to do. I want to go down to points of interest or saved locations and use those instead. For the purpose of this video though, I'm just going to click on current location, and it's going to pick up my current location using GPS. Now here's the interesting part. Right at the top of the screen here, it gives me a readout for the size of the map if I were to download the map of this general area. I can change this by zooming out. If I click the minus sign here, you'll notice that the map size will actually increase. I'm up to 593 megabytes here. There is a limit to how far you can zoom out. You can't download your entire state. You can't download the entire world using these maps. You can only download the region that you're actually in. You're just gonna download what you need in order to get more detail for that area. And the reason why you're not gonna download the whole world like this is because these maps are very big. Okay, for the purpose of this video though, I'm gonna go ahead and zoom into this little park area that has some trails in it and try to get some more detail about this specific area. Now that I've zoomed in, I'm gonna click the back button, and now I can press the check mark up in the corner here to say that this is what I wanna do. And now here's where you can actually choose what maps you want to download. You can see on the right here, it says map layers 6, but if I want to change that, I can click the little pencil icon here. I can change the name of the maps that I'm downloading, and I can change what layers that I want to download. So if I click on layers, you've got topo, parcel, HMU, those are the hunting maps, I believe, public lands, satellite, USGS quadrants. And then down at the bottom here, if you click on more info, there's even more info if you want to learn about each one of these layers. And if you do, maybe this is something you'd be interested in. I'm just showing you how it works. Now I'm going to click back, and I'm going to click done by pressing this check mark in the top right corner. So now you can see there's a little message. Map download will continue when your device is plugged in. If you want to download maps, you need a couple of things. You need Wi-Fi and you need your charging cable, because the maps will not download unless the watch is actually plugged into the charger in order to use Wi-Fi. And the reason they do that is because the Wi-Fi download feature on these watches does drain the battery like crazy, and they want to make sure that you have enough battery life to actually get the map from the cloud. So to demonstrate this, I've got my power bank here, my giant power bank. It's totally overkill for this video, but what can you do? I'm gonna go ahead and plug the watch in, and we're gonna see that it's now searching for Wi-Fi, and it's going to connect. And now that it's connected, it's going to begin downloading the map. Another thing to keep in mind is that this process can take quite a while. As you can see, I'm at 0% complete, 1% complete, and it's not moving very fast, even though I have incredibly fast Wi-Fi. I've got gigabit speeds here in the office, but it's still not a super fast connection. So you will need to be patient in order to download the maps, especially if you choose a wide area and lots of map layers included in the download. Okay, now that the maps are downloaded to my Epix Gen 2, I'm gonna go ahead and dive into the mapping activity so I can show you what the maps look like. If I go down to map, you can go into this activity, but honestly, you can use just about any activity to look at the map. So as you can see here in this area of the map, which I didn't include in the download, I'm not getting any additional layers. It still looks like the standard out-of-the-box map that comes pre-installed on this Epix Gen 2. There's roads, there's waterways, there's some topo and contour line information, but not a ton of detail. However, if I scroll to the right here, you'll notice a big difference. You can see there I have a photorealistic view of the property and the land and what's going on. There's also boundary lines and things like that from the other layers that I enabled. And if I go ahead and zoom in using the plus sign on the left, you can see that there is a ton of detail on this map. I can see people's driveways and shrubbery and bushes and green area, the boundary lines. There's the blue lines that indicate wetlands, I think, and just a ton of information on these downloaded maps. One thing to note when you are using the maps on the Epix Gen 2 or Fenix 7 or any of these watches is adding more layers, especially this photo view of the satellite view. It really taxes the computer or the CPU inside the watch, and it does make it a little bit laggy when you are scrolling around. As you can see when I scroll down, it takes a second for that to fill in. It's not instantaneous as if you're using your smartphone or something like that, but it's really not bad. And while I am in the map view, I can dive into my settings and I can disable or enable any of those layers that I want to see at a given time. So if the satellite view is just too much for me and I only want to see the contour lines, I can dive into map layers here, and I can go down and turn on and off any of the actual layers I want to see. And that's really it. In a nutshell, that is the Outdoor Maps Plus feature that's now available on the Garmin Epix Gen 2, the Fenix 7X, and a handful of other devices. Go check out the link in the description down below. That'll bring you over to Garmin's website if you're interested in learning more about the map layers available and what devices are actually compatible with this. I do think this is pretty cool, and it is a move in the right direction considering that these maps were previously available on the Montana series. Why not make them available on your wrist as well? Now, when it comes down to the money and is it worth it, it really comes down to your use case. Like I said, if you're a hardcore hiker or a hunter or a climber, and you will value that additional information that you can have in the maps on your wrist, $50 a year is probably well worth it. On the other hand, if you're mainly a runner or you're somebody who's just more casual about their hiking, or you just don't do hunting or care about land boundaries, then this is something you're probably just gonna wanna skip. And now I wanna hear from you. Is this something you're interested in? Let me know in the comments down below what your use case is, whether you're a climber or a hunter or a land surveyor, what map layers you're gonna use and why. Let me know in the comments down below if it's worth 50 bucks to you, because I'd love to hear from you. And now we've reached the end of this video, and if you're still watching, you probably enjoyed it. And if you did enjoy it, I would really appreciate it if you went down and gave me a thumbs up and hit that subscribe button, because it really helps my channel grow. Also, if you're planning on picking up a Epix Gen 2 or a Tactix 7 or a Fenix 7 or any of the watches I showed in this video, check out the links in the description down below, because those do help support my channel and they cost nothing extra to use, so you might as well use them. And with that, I gotta go. I hope you enjoyed it, and I'll see you next time. Bye.